All right, I started the recording. So yesterday we learned about what is cloud in general, what is public cloud, hybrid cloud, what is IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS, what is the job of a Azure data engineer day-to-day basis, and then we understood how to create a subscription, how to share the subscription. Anybody has any doubt till here, guys?
So, who
In
who
sharing the
supplies?
subscription, you said that you'll be checking and let us know by today, right?
What I need to check?
Yesterday, that share, that thing is not working fine, right? Sharing
Every,
subscription.
everything was working fine. What was not working fine? So
It
when
doesn't work.
I
Yeah, you
shared
shared it.
the email ID with like the I added one.
You added Jeevat, right? But it is not working fine. You said that I will check afterwards and let you know. You said right.
One moment, guys. One moment. I'm coming. Okay. So yesterday, what was not working is I added Jiva in my account, and Jiva was sharing the screen, but in Jiva was not able to log in. But every process I have shown, and then I have also shown how to like I think I have shown everything, but was there any like miscommunication? Because I think I have shown everything. But Jiva, are you able to log in your like in my account?
Not with that account, Abhishek. I think that's because of some login issues. But I have a different one. If you want, you can try that now.
Okay. Anybody tried sharing the subscription? Anybody tried that?
Yeah, it's working. I tried.
Okay. And beside Kunal, who tried this? Anybody tried creating a subscription, sharing a subscription? Okay, so yesterday what I have shown, I added Jiva here. So just to revise what we have done. So yeah, so if I go to user, I added Jiva here, and then Jiva accepted
We
my
can't see. We can't see the screen.
one second. Okay, are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so I added Jiva here, and then Jiva accepted my invitation. And once Jiva accept the invitation, then Jiva need to log in here. And then once he logins here, then he need to go to the intra ID and then switch subscription. That's all. So this I have shown yesterday. Any confusion on this, guys? Anybody has any confusion on this? Madan, you were saying that I haven't shown something. So any confusion on this?
No,
Do
no,
you have any
after that
confusion?
issue, right? You said that we'll check and update. That's what I asked.
From my side, there is no issue ideally,
Yeah,
but
okay.
like you can just follow this what I have told, and then you will be able to share the subscription. If not,
Sure,
then let
Abhishek.
me know. I will try to help you.
I follow
I'll
the
check
same.
on that.
It's working for me.
Okay, fine. All right. Yeah. Anybody has any doubt?
One doubt here. So you mentioned regarding the data engineering job. So there is
Mm-hmm.
one ML and other things are mentioned, right? In one slide,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
ML models and now learning, you know.
Yeah.
So, there is let's say there is a data science team. So, is our job to support them on data engineering or mending the pipeline and all those things for them?
Yeah. So your job is to give them the data. That's your job. So you will ideally give them the data, whatever they need.
And we will not maintain any this ML model pipelines, ML
No.
of pipeline.
No.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. Now let's move ahead. So now today we will learn this. We understood what is subscription. Now if you have many subscription, then you need a management group to manage those subscription. I never worked on management group, and I believe so 99% you will also not work on management group. Then after the management group, you have resource group, resources. Okay. Now we'll understand what is resource group and resources. So what is this resource group, resources? Are different things which you can different resource or different services which you opt for in a cloud, right? So suppose if you have a data factory, Databricks, SQL Server, Key Vault, all of this is resources. Now resource group is a way of grouping those resources. Okay, suppose if you join an organization, 10 people belong to one manager and another 10 belong to another manager. Why we do that? To organize the people, right? So that we assign different project to different manager and then different task to so that manager can ideally divide the task to different workers and those things we can do, right? So similar to that, once you have a subscription, you have a resource group, and inside the resource group, you create resources. So generally, in the IT world or in particular cloud world, right? In the technical world, we generally have three kinds of environment, right? So dev, test, and prod environment. Who is here who is not aware about what is dev, what is test, what is prod, and I don't know about what is this dev, test, and environment. Anybody who is here and not aware about dev, test, and prod, please tell me, guys, if you're not aware about it. Okay. I think everybody's aware what is dev, test, and prod.
So
So
this
dev
is
test. Yeah.
source spelling is something wrong, or is it something like this RESOURSE
What?
and on the boxes resource spelling is something like this, or see some
Oh,
spelling
it's wrong. It's wrong.
on
So
the
yeah.
boxes.
Okay. So yeah, it's wrong. So yeah, I will correct it. Okay. So you are the first person who is highlighting it. I've shared this slide to so many people till now, and I also haven't noticed. So thank you, Kunar. Okay, fine.
Both the spelling,
So
resource group and resources.
yeah. So I will correct it. All right. So this resource group and resources. So uh, yeah. So coming back to the question, or all the guys are aware about what is this dev, test, and prod environment. So dev environment is the environment where we develop our pipeline. Test environment is the environment where we test the pipeline. Prod environment is a environment where we productionize our code. Okay, so when a project starts, you ideally make your pipeline, right? So you make some sort of a pipeline and you develop it in a dev data, and then you test it in the test environment, which is similar to the prod environment, and then you finally deploy. So generally in a project, you always create three resource group, one for dev, one for test, and one for prod. And all the resources for that environment will be tagged under that resource group, dev resource group, then test resource group, then prod resource groups. And all the environment of test resource group will be under test environment, test resource group, and then prod environment. Similar to that, we make a resource group and then we create resources. And I also told that we are focusing on this, right? So ideally, we need, what are the resources we need? We need data factory, we need blob storage, we need data break. Sorry, we need blob storage, we need data factory, we need source, right? So these are the three resources which we need. Source, for source, I suggest you guys to download MS SQL or MySQL in your computer, right? So MS SQL server. You can download MS SQL Server, so you can probably watch this how to install Microsoft SQL Server on Windows 10 and Windows 11. So you can follow this video along, and then you can install a MS SQL Server on your computer. And similarly, you can install a MySQL Server on your computer. MySQL Server on your computer, right? So this also you can install. So you have two kinds of sources, MS SQL, MySQL, and then your computer also is one of the source. So this will be figured out, right? So you have a source to deal with. Either you can install MS SQL and MySQL or your own computer, right? So source, we have it. Then we need data factory, and also we need a blob storage. Data factory and blob storage, both of them is resource, right? So for that we need a resource group, and then inside a resource group we'll create these resources. Okay. So what I'm doing now, I will go create a resource group, right? So I will go here and then I will type resource group here. I will create a resource group. I will type resource group name.
So can we access resources from dev from ADF into the UAT resource group?
No, no.
Okay.
So generally no, but if you want to, you can do it. It's not restricted by default, but if you generally it's restricted, you try to restrict it. But if you want to do it, you can do it.
How we create the naming convention for dev and all, so something hyphen dev or something?
I will share the one document with you guys in which naming convention is written already. How to name your resources and how to name data factory, how to name pipeline, how to name resources. All of that will be written. You can ideally follow that document and create the resources accordingly. Okay. So let me also show you that document. So all table, fact table, dimension table, staging table, view, all columns, surrogate key column, foreign key column, measured column, timestamp. Then if you go down, triggers, dataset, link service, ADF pipelines. So you can follow this document to create resource and other things.
Resources and all.
Generally it's been named like this. You can name. Yeah, you can name something like RG, then your project name, which is suppose 1024 KPI dashboarding dev. This is how you can. RG is for resource group, 1024 KPI dashboarding is your project, and dev is your environment. So you can ideally name your resource like this, and also you can name like this. RG dev and then your project name. Okay. So in the very layman terms, it's very straightforward. RG refers to the resource group. The dev, test, and prod resource refers to the which environment you are, and then the KPI, then your project name. So I will select the region here. Generally, it's like selected in which you want to move the data. So for example, if your source is there in East US, right? East US, for example, then generally your cloud data or where you want to migrate the data will be also in East US because your cost will be not more, right? So it's not your decision to decide the region. The company will itself decide it where they want to locate the cloud data source. Generally, it's near to the on-premise source where it is, so that the cost is less. Okay. So here, suppose your on-premise source is there in East US, then your the region will be also in East US, so that the data movement is less and cost is also less. So I will select the Central India, for example, right? Just for the reference here.
So which one is cheapest for practicing?
So there is no like particular region which is cheapest, so you can choose any region. It's not dependent on so much of a region.
And will
Uh,
it cost more if we have source in different region and target in different region? I mean,
yes,
geographically.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Why? Because suppose if you have like a source in India, and
Mm-hmm.
if you're saying where you're moving the data, you are selecting that you want to move the data to US. So ideally the data center is there in US. So Microsoft will need to move the data from India to data center which is present in US. So the cost will
Mm-hmm.
be definitely more for that.
Okay.
All right. So I have selected this, and then tags is generally used. So suppose you can write owner of this project is suppose Abhishek, and then application name is suppose like PAT set or something like that. So it's just a tags is being used. So suppose if you have 100 resources, then you can select tags or search for the tags in the filter and then find out the resource. For that, we generally use this.
For billing, also, I think
Yeah, yeah.
they.
For billing as well, tags can be used. Then review and create. I am not creating the resource for now because I do have a resource group which in which I am working right now. But this is how you can create a resource group. If you hit create, the resource group will be created. This is how you can create a resource group. Okay. Once you have a resource group, any doubt on this, guys? Anybody has any doubt?
So I have one doubt. Like, can we restrict the access for a specific resource group? Like in dev environment, we can give the
Yeah.
full access.
Yes,
In
you can do
prod,
that.
we should not.
Yes.
Okay, so it is a common access given to all resources under that group.
Yes. Yes, you can do that.
Okay. Okay.
Any other
So
doubt, guys?
yeah, one question here. So we are data engineers, right? So we will develop some code or some uh, pipelines in ADF. Okay, and who will deploy these to UAT?
DevOps engineer.
Okay, we are not responsible for it. Okay.
No. Any other doubt, guys?
So we will not have any access to UAT and prod, right?
Depends company to company. So generally, all the developer will not have the access of test and prod, but few developers can have the access of test and prod. It depends on company to company.
Okay.
Any other question, guys? Okay. So if I go to the resource group and then suppose I have this resources, right? So here I can go and then I can probably like if you select IAM, somebody Devendra was asking, I think so. Suppose here in IAM you
Yes,
can
yes.
control which person is accessing what resource group. You can control that here.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, see here. Um, if you see the 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 kind of a role which you give to a developer is inherent here, right? So suppose I have given Jiva role of a reader. So it's
Mhm.
by default inherent given a reader role here. But if you want to change this role on a resource group level, that can be done. So suppose I am the owner and then, yeah, so if you want to change this roles, that can be done on
Mhm.
the resource group level. But are you the
Okay.
concerned person who will do it? No. So good to know, but yeah, so it's not so job of a data engineer ideally. All right.
Okay.
So here you created a resource group. Now inside the each resource group, ideally you can see the resources. Suppose in this resource group, this is the resource. In this resource group, there is no resource. In this resource group, what are the resources? These are the resources, right? So in this resource group, you can understand what are the resources under that resource group that you can understand, right? So now we will start creating resources. If anybody has any question, they can ask now, or else I will start creating resources.
Yeah, so who provides these roles? System cloud
Azure
engineer
admin.
only? Azure admin, okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. And also, like, if you join a company, if somebody is telling you to do this, don't tell like it's not my job. So yeah, it happens in some companies that if you're working in a small organization, people might request you to do this. So it's better to search about it, do it, right? I'm not saying to deny that. I'm just saying that what is important to focus, because sometimes I start a class and people I told about this, like access control, and then they are learning about role management, what is contributor role, what is reader role, what is owner, what is the difference between contributor reader role, and how contributor role is different than the reader role. And then they will ask me which role I should give. All of that is, you can learn about it. It's not so, like, I am not saying not to learn about it. I'm just saying not to focus on it right now. That's what I'm saying, because there are so many things to focus right now. All right. So, all right. And also, when I'm creating a, one second. Okay. So now what I will do, I will start creating resources. Okay. So this is the resource. So if I go to the resource, like here you have this storage account and then you have data factory, right? So what I will do now, I will create a storage account and I will create a data factory to begin with, okay? Because we already know how to create a source. So we'll create data factory and we'll also create a blob storage, okay? All right. So I will come here, I will go to the storage account and I will create a storage account. So before that, let's understand what is storage account as well. Give me a moment. Okay, what is a storage account? A storage account is basically, uh, so suppose a storage account has 4 types. Let me show you. Yeah. So storage account has 4 types. Either you can choose to create a blob storage or a data lake Gen2. Then you have a file service, queue service, and table service. Okay. Um, What is storage account? Storage account is generally a particular storage medium offered by Microsoft where you can store any kind of a file. And then it has 4 types. Either you can choose to create a blob service or a data lake Gen2. Then you have a file service, queue service, and table service. We will be working mostly in 99%, like we will in during our whole classes, we will be working on data lake Gen2 or a blob storage. In my past projects as well, I have used blob storage and data lake Gen2 only. I haven't worked on this file service, queue service, and table service. And in most of the project, we use this blob service and data lake Gen2 itself. From the definition wise, Files storage is being used to share like files with lift and shift method. The storage queue is being used to handle messages. Table storage is for NoSQL data. So if I open this here, if I go here and then if I open it, here you can see data lake storage, file storage to share large file, queue storage to handle messages, table storage for NoSQL data, right? During our project and like in my past work as well, I always worked on the data lake storage. So we'll focus on this because 90% of the time you will be working on the data lake storage or a blob storage only. Now, what's the difference between a data lake storage or a blob storage, right? So here if I go, this is a blob storage and this is a data lake storage. If I open a blob storage, if I open this, now here in the blob storage or a data lake storage, all of this is folder, but in Azure terms we call it as a container. Okay, all of this is folder, but in Azure term we call it as a container. Inside a folder, this is directory, or whatever is here is a directory. Okay, in normal terms it's a subfolder, but in Azure term it's a directory. So in blob storage, if you open this, then you won't be able to create a directory inside a container, right? In blob service. But in data lake gen 2, you can create a directory inside a container. If you open this, then you can create a directory inside a container. And also, if I open this particular data lake storage, right? So suppose I am working with Kunal and also Devendra, for example. So here if I go, and then I want Kunal to access Delta folder and Devendra not to access Delta folder, right? So that can be done on folder level. That can be done on a folder level, right? So that you can do on the folder level in blob service and also in the data lake storage, right? So container level access you can manage, that you can do. But suppose in blob service, you have given like Kunal and Devendra both access of an input container. But inside the input container, you have some folder here, right? For example, you have some sort of a directory or some sort of a dummy folder here because you cannot have a directory, right? So you have a dummy folder here. So folder level of access that cannot be managed in the blob storage, that you cannot do in the blob storage. Inside the particular container, like if you want to further segregate it, that you cannot do in the blob service. But here in the data lake gen 2, if you open a data lake storage, here also you can access the directory level of access that you can do in the data lake storage, which you cannot do in the blob service. That's the second difference. The third difference is in the blob service is basically recommended for uh, like, so suppose the cost wise, the data lake storage is costly as compared to the blob service because of the advantage, because of the features of it, right? So it gives you more feature than it's costly. And also the data lake storage is being recommended for big data analytics workloads. Suppose if you have big amount of data and in future you feel that the data will increase, then you opt for data lake storage instead of a blob storage. So generally in all the project we use data lake storage only. We have been using a blob service which we are migrating to data lake storage now, but like in very few scenarios when you have 10 data points, you want to store it somewhere, then you can use a blob service. But generally we use a data lake storage only for all the cases. And it's one of the most important interview question, very simple to understand, very simple to remember, so please remember it. Okay, all right guys, anybody has any doubt on this?
Yeah, so file, queue, and there is other one, right? So it comes under both storage and data lake gen 2.
uh, it's file and queue, no. So it's a type of it's type of a storage account, but it doesn't come under that. So it's come under storage account, but it doesn't come under data lake gen 2. So a storage account has four types: data lake storage or a blob storage, file service, queue service, and table service. So if somebody asks you what is the type of a storage account, then you say file service, queue service. If somebody asks you what is a type of data lake storage, then it's one of the types. There is no, the answer of the question itself is not correct.
So if we create a data lake storage, then we will not see these table surveys, queue surveys on.
No, no, no. So see, here you always create a storage account. Okay. So you will create a storage account, and when you're creating a storage account, you will choose you want to opt for a data lake storage or a blob service. But by default, this file service, queue service, and table service is created for you, right? So here you can see
Okay, okay.
which you are not using anyways.
On all the
Okay.
cases, it will be created. All these
Yes,
three.
yes, yes.
And this table
And is
service
there
is
any
something.
difference like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but the table service is something NoSQL you told. It's something
Hmm.
like MongoDB or based on which database, like DynamoDB we have in.
I haven't worked on it, so I'm not totally aware why we use this. So, but it's a NoSQL storage from the definition wise I can tell you, but I haven't worked on it. I never worked on it.
And this queue service is something
So I
to
had to
manage.
handle messages. So sometimes you are making an application which is like message related and those things, for probably you'll use a queue service for it.
Got it. Okay.
But you don't need to like focus on this because ideally it's not asked in the interview, and then definition wise you can just
Just
remember
high
it.
level I was asking, yeah.
Yeah, so from the definition wise you can remember it. So this is the document. So now it's a very important question. What is the difference between a data lake storage and blob storage? Very simple to remember, so please remember this. One is directory structure. Data lake storage supports a hierarchical structure, allowing you to create a directory inside a container, while blob storage has a flat structure. Access control. Data lake storage allows you to set a granular level of permission, which blob storage doesn't do that. Data lake storage is ideal for big data analytics workload. Blob storage is general file storage. Data lake storage is costly as compared to blob storage. Data processing. Data lake storage is optimized for data lake storage is generally been recommended for Synapse Analytics integration with Unity Catalog. So it's generally recommended for big data processing, which is not the case with the blob service. So please remember this. Please note down this document. I will share this document with you so that you have it handy. Now we will understand how to create a data lake storage and a blob storage. So here, if I go,
Just one question. Like, is there any size or anything limitation like where we can use blob storage and we cannot use like data lake or vice versa?
no, there's no something kind of that. There's only limitation which I have told you. Suppose
Okay.
if I give you a
Hierarchical
requirement
structure.
that 20 files I want to store,
Mhm.
which particular storage you will use in that case? If I tell you 20 files I want to store,
I mean, we can
right?
use both, right? But if we need
For
hierarchical,
so
then
it's
we
the
can go.
requirement is very simple. Suppose if I tell you, hey, these are the 20 flat file, I will give it to you, you store it. I will create a blob
Mhm.
service for it. Why? Because that file is stagnant. I am just telling you to store it somewhere and then it's all right. So I will use a blob service. But if I tell you this are the 20 file, but this 20 file can be 30 file, can be 40 file, can be 50 file. And also this file will increase day by day. Which particular storage you will
Mhm.
use? You will use a data lake storage.
Okay.
So, so it depends on the requirement. Ideally, like the general requirement, suppose if I tell you that, yeah, these are the file, these are the 20 file. Now in 6 months, probably like it is 1 GB, but in 6 months only 6 GB, like one more GB will come. And then, but after 6 months, I don't need this data because after 6 months, this POC will end. So I will create a blob
Mhm.
service for this.
Okay. So basically, like if you have static data and if you want to go for cheaper storage, then we will choose blob.
Yeah.
And if we have incremental kind of thing, then we will go for data lake.
Incremental and
Okay.
also futuristic. So if you want to develop a project which is which you want to use for suppose 4 years or 5 years, then
Mhm.
you go for a safer option, right? So suppose um, there is two kinds of a pen. One is use and throw pen, and one is like a permanent pen which you want to use for 4 years. So you want a good product, right? In that case, so it's just
Correct,
that
correct,
you
correct.
can say, right? All right. So
Yeah.
now I will go and create a storage account. So here you can suppose, yeah, so 0924 and then like um So you can give the name 0924 dev KPI dashboarding or something like that. Okay, and then you can select the region of suppose Central India or whatever region, yes. So here you can select the Central India, and then everything is by default. Okay, so here I'm not changing anything. Here, this is the option which you need to click if you want to select create a data lake storage. If you don't click it, just create a blob storage. Okay. If you click on this, it will create a data lake storage for you. Now everything is by default. We don't need to change anything anywhere. In the advanced tab, there you can change it to create a data lake storage. If you just keep it like this, it will create a data lake storage. If you uncheck it, it will create a blob storage for you. Right, and then all the options is by default. Why I'm not explaining each and every option? Because it's not important. As I told you, will not create this resource. I never created in my 8 years. I never created a storage account in my any of the company. So don't go deeper into this. Okay. If you are curious, you can go into this. But if you ask me, Abhishek, can you explain each and every option? I am not aware about it because I haven't worked on it in creation of what is this endpoint networking, data protection, all of that. I'm not aware. What is this encryption? I'm not aware. So I will also not suggest. For now, don't go into it. If you learn data engineering completely, then understand all of this. That's very clear. But don't go into this right now. Okay. Then we create a resources, and then you just need to know. Here we select. Then it will create data lake. Why you need to know this? Because ideally you can just see the blob and data lake, so you can create it and then understand it, right? So now, yeah, this is how you create a data lake storage and a blob storage. If you click that option, that will create data lake storage. If you unclick that option, it will create a blob storage. All right. Any doubt on this, guys? Anybody has any doubt? Okay. If there is no doubt, let's move ahead. So we understood what is storage account, right? We also understood the difference between a blob storage and data lake Gen 2. I'm again telling you it's very, very important interview question. Okay. So whenever I tell it's important means it's very important because I'm also telling you what is not important. Okay. So please focus on what is important and please focus on what is not important as well at the same time. Okay. So if I'm telling you that this is very, very important, please note down it, please remember it, please save it somewhere, please write a notes and please revise it. Okay. So now, and
Can you
also in
please
the
open that
one
PDF file?
second, Kunal, 1 second. So, and also, like suppose in the interview, don't say folder, don't say subfolder, and also use some technical words because sometimes you say folder. I cannot create a folder inside a subfolder, and then use like suppose there are two ways you can answer this, right? Suppose somebody asks you, hey, what is the difference between a blob storage and data lake Gen 2? One way of answering it is I can create I cannot create a subfolder inside a folder, and then there is some sort of option in which I cannot give the permission. And yeah, so I don't remember, but yeah, in the subfolder level, you cannot give the permission, something like that, right? But in the second way, you can answer it properly. You cannot create directory inside a container, and also you cannot give the subfolder level access or directory level of access. Means you cannot create a ACL access control list. So if you use technical words, that gives a weightage, right? Yes, Kunal, tell me please.
Yeah, can you please open that PDF document? The use case one I want to understand, and the data processing.
What?
Use case and data processing. Can you please explain again?
This I explained, right? So this data lake storage general purpose, which I told already. Suppose if you have a fixed requirement, then you will use a data blob storage. Like suppose 50 file you want to store or 50 file which is increasing but only for 6 months, then you will use a blob service. Otherwise, you use a data lake service. Is it clear or no?
Yeah. And the last one?
Data lake storage is optimized for large scale data processing, supporting high throughput data process, which makes it so data lake storage is generally recommended for big data analytics workload. Reason being that it has a directory level of access. and it has permissions. So whenever you're working in Databricks, you generally prefer to store the data in Databricks itself. So suppose when you're creating the resource as well here, and if you go to the advanced tab, here it's written that it's recommended for big data analytics workload. So whenever you have big amount of data, ideally you will store it in the data lake instead of storing it in the blob storage.
Okay, okay.
All right, guys. Anybody has any other question? Okay, all right. And also one more small request. So, like suppose whenever I start something, right? Suppose if I am starting Data Factory, for example, I will try to explain Data Factory. I will explain whatever I want to explain about Data Factory. Then I will pause for some time, and then you can probably ask question related to that. And then piece by piece, I will explain, and then I will give you the opportunity to ask question. But suppose if I haven't given that opportunity, then you can interrupt me and ask question, right? That's not a problem. All right, so we'll understand now about Data Factory. What is Data Factory? Okay. So before understanding what is Data Factory, let's understand the use case, right? So suppose I have a use case that I opened a company, right? And in that particular company, I opened suppose a retail shop, right? In retail shop, what I have done, I have some Excel file is stored in my computer. Okay, so I bought a computer, and then in that particular computer, I do have some Excel files. Yeah, suppose I have this CSV file, right, in my computer. Now, what I want to do, I want to move all of this CSV file in the cloud. Okay. So how we do it generally? I have a storage. I will go here, right? I will open this and I will upload all the files, right? I will come here and I will upload it. Right? That's the one way of doing it, right? Now, suppose now daily I need to come at 10 p.m. and I need to do it 10 p.m. daily, right? Can I do it daily 10 p.m.? Like after I close my shop, I can probably daily I can do it. But sometimes so suppose like after I upload this in the particular location, then Kunal is a person who is my analyst, right? So suppose Kunal is tomorrow morning will go to that particular storage and get the file from me, right? But suppose some days I miss to upload, or some days I basically wanted to upload but I fall sick, right? So anything can happen to me, right? But ideally, this particular and also suppose if I am the concerned person, then probably tomorrow I will leave the company, or like anything happen to this particular process of Abhishek uploading the file to a particular storage. And also suppose if manual process is always and always prone to error. Okay, so always we will try to make things automated, because machines cannot make mistake, but humans can make mistakes, right? So suppose if I ideally come here and then if I select all the file, I sometimes can miss, like I select like this and then I miss two files, right? That can also happen. But if you schedule it properly, 10 p.m. daily, I need to move all the file if the some file, and suppose for example, that can also happen that I stored a file with a different name. That can also happen, and still I am uploading the file. But in the machine, you can configure if the file name is like this, if it's ending with .csv, then only upload the file, right? Those kind of a configuration you can do ideally. So you need a machine, you need a particular software which can do this job for you, right? So in that case, Data Factory is one of the service offered by Microsoft, which will help in data migration, data movement from one place to another. And also suppose like here you have the data, right? But you don't want to move all the data. Suppose Kunal said, Abhishek, why you're uploading daily all the files? You just upload what is changed. So suppose in this file, today I uploaded the data, and tomorrow few 10 customers came to me, right? Suppose Devendra also came to my shop, bought some Coca-Cola, or suppose Madan came to my shop and bought some shampoos, bottles and all of that, right? So now tomorrow I just need to upload the Devin and Madan data, right? So I cannot like open manually and then select it and then upload it daily, right? It's too much of an effort. So when the data size will increase, the effort will also increase ideally, right? So you need a machine to do that job. And that particular machine, so why of it is why you need data factory. You need data factory for data movement and data orchestration, right? So the pipeline movement, pipeline orchestration, for that data factory is required. So what is data factory? Data factory is a here is the slide of, yeah. Why do we use data factory? Data factory allows you to create a data driven workflows for orchestrating data movement, data transformation at scale. What data, why do we use data factory? Data factory is being used to create a data driven workflow. It helps you to create a workflow, which means scheduling a job. What is ADF? ADF is a cloud ETL service for data integration, data movement, transformation. Data from data factory, you can also transform data ideally. Suppose if you have 10 data points and while movement itself, you want to combine all the data points, right? That is doable. So suppose somebody says that Abhishek, department 1, department 2 is there. Why you are moving both the department? Kunal said just combine both of them and then give it to me. That can be done using data factory. So it helps you for the data transformation. It helps you for the data movement as well, right? So why do we use data factory? Data factory has been used to create a automated data pipelines, right? What is data factory? Data factory is a ETL service. Yeah, it's a no code service. There you don't need to write a SQL, don't need to write a Python as well at the same time. This is data factory, right? So how do you use data factory? How to create a data factory? You can ideally come here, you can open data factory, or you can type here data factory, open data factory, right? And then hit create. Anybody has any doubt till here, guys? What is data factory? Why do we use data factory?
So data integration part, and data movement. What is the difference between data integration and movement?
Data
Or
integration is connecting the data source. So suppose in data factory, for example, data factory can ideally just integrate with your SQL server, trigger some stored procedure here without moving anything from here. Is it making sense or no? So suppose you have a SQL server, right? You understand what is SQL server, right?
yeah,
Now you have written a stored procedure in SQL server, right?
right.
Now that particular stored procedure, you want to trigger that stored procedure 10 p.m. daily, right? Then either you go and trigger it manually, or you can integrate data factory with that, and data factory will trigger it for you. So this is the integration part. You're not moving anything. You're just integrating data factory to do some sort of a scheduling. Is it clear or no?
Got it. Yeah. Thanks.
And data movement is you're moving something from there. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, guys. Now what we will do, we'll create a data factory. I will go here, hit create, select a resource group which you created, give a name, ADF, then suppose dev, and then KPI dashboarding, and then select the region, Central India. Previously there was a V1 version as well, but now there's only one version, V2. Now create a data factory. I'm not creating data factory because I do have a data factory. This particular thing which we learn in one separate class. So for now you can select this, configure later. All right. Once you have a data factory, you can open this data factory like this. Either you can open the data factory from here, like you can go to the portal, select this, open this data factory, or you can directly open the data factory. Suppose somebody said that Abhishek, I don't have a portal access. Sometimes in few consultancy projects, we don't have the direct access to portal. So it can be directly accessed directly as well without having the access of a portal. That also can be done. Okay, you log in, you can access it. All right, now this is a home tab. This is a pencil type in which you will design a pipeline. This is the tab in which you can understand when you have run the pipeline at what time, that you can understand it here. So these are the pipeline I run it, and then these are the pipeline which I run it, right? So you can understand it here. Here you can understand about integration runtime, link service, all of that. Learning center is just for learning new things. You can explore it around, you can learn it. So this is the pencil tab where you will ideally create pipelines. This is the monitor tab where you'll schedule the pipeline. This is the link service and integration runtime, which is very, very important piece, which we'll understand tomorrow probably. All right, this is data factory. Now in data factory, like now let's come back here. Okay. Now here you have data factory, here you have source, here you have a blob storage. We will first learn this using data factory, how to move the data from source to blob storage using data factory. What is data factory? Data factory will help you to move the data from point A to point B. Okay, which we understood. Now we have a source. You will install MS SQL, MySQL in your computer. Then you have a source. Then you have a blob service as well, which you will create. And then you have a data factory as well, through which you will move it. Data factory is just like a vehicle or some sort of like thing which will, data factory will not hold the data for you, right? Data factory will not carry the data. It will just help you to move the data. That's all. Any doubt, any confusion till here, guys?
So what type of all activities that we can do through data factory?
Yeah, we'll learn about it going
Okay.
forward. What are the types of activities are there in data factory? All of that we'll learn. Okay. So I wanted to start on this, but I think I won't be able to start on this today, like integration runtime link service, which we will learn on Friday probably. Let me share my screen. So what's the homework for you guys is, the homework for you guys is this. Let me share the homework.
Abhishek, can you please try to close class before 9 because I have a client call every day, so this is the problem.
Class is getting close now. So now here, blob service, data lake storage, create data factory, integration runtime link service, difference between a blob service and data lake gen 2. So all of these 5 differences, ideally, sorry, all of this 5 is homework for you. Create a blob service, create a data lake storage, create data factory, learn about IR integration runtime, learn about it, search about it. I will anyways teach about it, right? And write notes about blob storage and data lake gen 2, the difference between both. Okay. All right, guys. So this is the homework for you guys. Please go through it. On Thursday, there won't be any class because I'm going for a passport appointment of my child, right? But on Friday, we'll connect again. But the schedule is this, right? So going forward, the schedule is always Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8 p.m. IST, 8 to 9 p.m. And I will wait for 5 minutes only, 8 to 8:05, and I will start at 8:05 exact. So yeah, so this is the schedule we will follow. But in this week, the Wednesdays anyways are off. But Thursday will be also off because I'm going for a passport appointment. But Friday we'll connect again. So thank you so much, guys. We will meet on Friday. But please, I request you that complete the homework. Take it very seriously because right now you might be thinking that this is all basic, right? So just creation of all of that. But going forward, the homework will be too much and then you won't be able to do the homework. It's my past experience, I'm telling you. So please be very sincere with the homework, right? And then try to complete the homework. So when I come on Friday, I will ask again who have done the homework, and I request you guys to complete like at least till here, right? So homework 1 and homework 2 should be completed. At least all of the you guys have tried sharing the subscription, creating the blob stories, creating the data like Gen 2 and all of that, right? Let's meet on Friday. We'll continue learning more about Azure from Friday onwards. Until Friday or like today or tomorrow, you will receive your LMS access and I will upload all the recordings as well. I will upload all the things like in this manner. So you will have the access of it as well. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. See you.
Thank you.